Hello friends, this is your Sanga Tamil Sahodri. Today, Chapter 2, Alvarkadiyan Nambi. Vallavarayan Vandiyathevan rode down the embankment and turned his horse towards the southern path. His heart danced with joy like those sailboats skipping across the waves. The excitement buried deep in his heart seemed to erupt outward. His intuition said that he was going to meet adventurous experienced by none in one lifetime. What a joyous delight even as I approach the Chola kingdom. What wonders will the fertile, bountiful land beyond the Kolidam hold? How would be the men and women of that country behave? How many rivers, how many reservoirs, how many clear streams? How wondrous would be the river Ponni, praised in song and epic. How magnificent would be the spectacular temples erected by these devout Cholas along both banks of the Kaveri. Aha, Palayare, capital city of Cholas. Palayare that turned Pumbugar and Urayur into small country towns. What of its palaces, towering columns, armaments, god houses, Shiva temples of granite and towering Vishnu temples. Vandiyathevan had heard about the captivating devotional poems Devaram and Thiruvaimozhi sung by music experts in those temples. He was soon to have the fortune of hearing them. That was not just it. He was soon attain favor beyond his wildest dreams. He was to personally meet Emperor Parandaka Sundara Chola, who was comparable to the god Velan in valor, who was the handsome as Manmada, the god of love. Furthermore, he was soon to meet the emperor's beloved daughter, an incomparable jewel among women, the younger Pirati Kundavai. Traveling with the intention of reaching Kadambur fort before sunset, Vandiyathevan soon reached the Vaishnava temple in the town of Veeranarayanapuram. Since it was the day of the Adi festival, a large crowd of people had gathered in the woods and glades around the temple. Vandiyathevan noticed a large gathering standing on one side, and he heard loud noises of argument among people in its middle. An immense urge rose in him to find out what the argument was about. He could not control it. Stopping his horse by the roadside near the crowd, he dismounted. Signaling the horse to wait, he parted the crowd and walked right in. It surprised him to find only 3 persons involved in the debate. Even though they were merely 3 men, the crowd around them periodically cheered their chosen favorite rather loudly. Vandiyathevan realized the cause for this commotion and was to find out the reason for the argument. One of the debaters seemed to be an exceptional follower of the Vaishnava faith. He wore the sandal-paste nama markings of the sect all over his body. He had styled his hair into a top knot on his forehead. A short staff was in his hand. His short, squat frame seemed quite strong. The other was a follower of Shiva, wearing broad ashen marks on his devout body. The third wore ochre robes and had completely shaved all the hairs off his head. He was neither a Vaishnava nor a Saiva. He seemed to be an Advaita philosopher beyond any sect. The Saiva devotee was saying, "Oh, you Alvarkadiyan Nambi, give me an answer to this. Did not Brahma try to find Shiva's head and Vishnu search for his feet? Unable to see neither head nor foot, did not both seek the sanctuary of Lord Shiva's auspicious feet? That being so, how can your Thirumal Vishnu be a greater god than Lord Shiva?" Hearing this, Alvarkadiyan pounded his staff, saying, "Well, fella, you fantastic Saiva dust worshipping priest, stop your nonsense. Recall that your Shiva gave boons to 10-headed Ravana, king of Lanka. Did not all those boons turn to sawdust when confronted by Sri Rama, an incarnation of our Thirumal Vishnu? When that is so, how can your Shiva be a greater god than our Thirumal?" At this, the monk who believed in the one supreme being intervened to say, "Why do you both argue wastefully? There is no end to your argument about Shiva being a bigger god or Vishnu being greater. Only while you are involved in these pagan rituals of devotion will you quarrel about Shiva and Vishnu. The path of knowledge is greater than devotion. Then there is the state of absolute knowing beyond even knowledge. When you reach that state, there is no Shiva and no Vishnu. All existence is the Supreme Being. Do you know what Sri Shankara, the teacher, says in his dissertation on the scriptures? At this point, Alvarkadiyan Nambi interrupted. Stop it, you fellow. Do you know what? Your Shankara, who wrote all those explanations for the Upanishads, the Bhagavad Gita, and other scriptures, finally say, Sing of Govinda, sing of Govinda, sing of Govinda, O foolish mind. He said it 3 times. It is 2 dumbheads like you that he refers when he mentioned foolish mind. The crowd responded to this word with thunderous clapping, mocking laughter. The monk did not stay quiet. Hey, you with the top knot on the forehead. It's correct that you refer to me as a foolish mind. You hold an ordinary woodstaff in your hands. You are surely a wood-brained wastrel. It's surely because of my foolish mind that I have come to talk with a wastrel like you. Oh sir, this is not an ordinary woodstaff. If need be, it has the power to break open your shaven head. And saying this, Nambi raised his staff as the crowd cheered him. The philosopher interrupted. Dear fellow, stop it. Keep the staff in your own hands. I shall not be angry, even if you hit me with your stick. Neither will I dispute with you. That which hits is supreme. That which is hit is also supreme. If you lay hands upon me, it's like hitting your own self.
Upon hearing this, Nambi announced, All of you watch. The Supreme is going to serve the Supreme a hollowed hit. I am going to hit myself with this staff. Swirling his staff, he moved towards the monk.
Watching all this, Vandiyathevan wondered if he should grab the staff from the fellow with the top knot on his forehead and serve him a few smacks from it. However, the monk seemed to have suddenly disappeared. He mingled into the crowd and vanished. At this, the Vaishnava supporters in the crowd cheered even louder. Alvarkadiyan turned towards the Saiva devotee. You foot-dust worshipper, what do you say? Will you continue this debate or would you too run away like the monk? He said. Me? I shall never run away like that philosopher spouting merry words. Did you think of me also as your Krishna? Is not your Krishna the same fellow who received beating from the butter churn because he stole butter from the homes of milkmaids? Before the Saiva worshipper could finish, Nambi interrupted. Why, sir, did not your Shiva carry loads of dirt for the sake of dry pudding and get beaten on his back? Have you forgotten that? Swirling his staff, he approached closer. Alvarkadiyan was a stocky, well-built brute. The Shiva devotee was an emaciated man. The cheering supporters in the crowd were ready to enter the tussle. Vallavariyan Vandiyathevan felt that he must stop this absurd rumpus. He came forward and said, Sirs, why are you arguing? Do you have nothing better to do? If you itch for a fight, why not to go to Langa? There is a big war going on there. Saying, Who is this fellow trying to make peace? Nambi quickly turned towards him. Some people in the crowd liked Vandiyathevan's fearless mien and charismatic face. Thambi, you tell them, they cheered. Tell these quarrelmongers the truth. We will support you. I'll tell the facts I know. There seems to be no quarrel between Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu Narayana. Those two seems to be quite friendly and pleasant towards each other. Then why are these two men arguing? Hearing these words of Vallavariyan Vandiyathevan, the people snickered. The Shiva devotee commented, This boy seems to be intelligent, but jovial words cannot end the argument. Let him answer this question. Is Lord Shiva a greater god than Vishnu or is he not? Shiva is a great god, so is Thirumal Vishnu. Both are equal. Worship whomever you want. Why quarrel? Said Vallavarayan. How can you say that? Where is the proof that Shiva and Vishnu are equal? Chided Alvarkadiyan. Proof? I will give you proof. Last night I had been to Vaikunda, the abode of Vishnu. At the same time, Shiva came visiting. Both were seated on equal thrones. They seemed to be of equal height. Still, to avoid any doubt, I measured their height with my arm. Hey, young man, are you mocking me? Roared Alvarkadiyan. Yes, Tambi, yes, tell us more, applauded the crowd. Upon measuring them, I found both to be of exactly the same height. Without stopping at that, I asked both Shiva and Thirumal directly. Do you know what they said? Hari and Shiva are one and the same. Those who don't know this should have their mouth filled with dirt. Saying it, they gave me this fistful of dirt to throw in the mouths of the idiots who quarrel about it. Vandiyathevan opened his fist to show a handful of dirt. He then threw it among them. Upon this, all hell broke loose. The men in excited crowd started picking up dirt and rubble and began throwing it each other. Alvarkadiyan also entered the fracas with shout of idiots, unbelievers, and used his staff. A great disturbance and commotion was about to erupt. Luckily, a stentorian announcement thwarting all this was heard nearby. Best of warriors, bravest of the brave, he who destroyed the very roots of the Pandya army by attacking furiously, he of the victorious spear, he who engaged in 24 combats and bear 64 battle wounds on his sacred body, the Chola secretary for finance and food, the lord who can levy taxes, the elder lord of Peru is announced. Make way, make way. A thundering voice made the announcement. The heralds who made these announcements came first, then came the drummers. Behind them came men carrying the palm tree flag. Next marched several smart footmen bearing lances and spears. Behind all these men came a dark, well-built man seated on a finely decorated elephant. The sight of the warrior on the elephant looked like a dark cloud resting atop a mountain peak. People stood on both sides of the roadway and watched. Vandiyathevan guessed that the man seated on the elephant was Lord Parur. Behind the elephant came a palanquin with silken drapes pulled close. Before he could wonder who could be inside, Vallavarayan saw a fair hand full of bracelets and bangles come out and slightly part the curtains. The dazzling face of a girl could be seen inside the palanquin, like the moon shining forth from behind a shifting cloud cover. Though he was a connoisseur of the beauty of womankind, though her captivating face seemed like the radiating full moon, for some reason Vandiyathevan was not happy to see that face. An irrational fear and disgust took hold of him. At the same time, the woman's eyes focused on something near Vandiyathevan. The next instant, the horrified sound of a girl's scream was heard. The screens pulled shut once again. Vallavarayan looked around him. His intuition said that the lady had screamed upon sighting something nearby. He searched around again. Alvarkadiyan was leaning back on a tamarind tree just behind him. He saw that the fanatic Vaishnava's face had turned undescribably horrible and ugly. His heart filled with irrational surprise and revolt.